Why couldn't you have just wore your Duke shirt last week?
I don't think I have one. And I would have worn it if I'd known that outcome was going to be. But depressing, sad day for Badger Nation. But life goes on. The sun came up this morning, and
we're back for another week.
We're back for another week. Extra points,
where we will put that game and season to bed.
Put it to bed, yes.
And decide whether we've already put the Brewers season to bed after one game.
Close, yes.
And I wore my green because it's Masters week.
It's not a green jacket, though.
Well, I don't have one of those.
No, I don't either.
You have to earn one if you want to do that.
I have a plaid jacket if you want to borrow that.
Next week you should wear that.
All right.
All that, much more coming up this week on Extra Points. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Extra Points here from the newly revamped Janesville Gazette Studios. If you want to try to sponsor,
come on down. There's plenty of room.
No, we don't have seating yet.
Right,
but if you want to put your name on the studio, want to sponsor it, you can certainly give us a call.
Have at it.
608-755-8249. We could use. Or if you guys want to sponsor the show in general, you can call that number too. But I'm Eric Schmaltz, sports editor of the Gazette, here with John Barry, who spends all his week writing all kinds of crazy stories, and we're going to break down what we do every week. A little local, a little state, a little national. We got the Badgers, who wrapped up the
a great season,
four.
even with a loss, still a great season. And we'll talk a little Brewers.
Yeah, Brewers getting started, and the Masters on the way. So I guess why don't we just get the Badgers right out of the way? All
right.
I've done my best all day today. We filmed this on Tuesday, just immersing myself in Masters coverage because I figured that was the best way to just stop thinking about the Badger game. But we'll spend a couple minutes here just kind of putting it to bed, I guess. For me, it was about as disappointing as I thought it would be if they lost, but because of this Masters stuff, I think it's helped me at least move on a little bit faster than I thought it would as well.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, don't stay classy, Badger fans. Don't blame the officials. We didn't lose the game because of the referees. We didn't lose the game because of a bad call, even though there were several. We lost the game because we got outplayed at the end. Duke made shots. We didn't. Decker had an off night. Trey Jackson was Trey Jackson, not very good. And the better team won. I think the key to the game was Badgers got up 9, maybe 12 minutes left, 11 minutes left with the ball. Nigel Hayes got a good look at a three, and I think if he makes that, all of a sudden we're up 12, and maybe the outcome's different. But, boy, after that point, we just couldn't score.
And that's when Grayson Allen took over. And Duke really had that killer instinct, and it was the freshman that had the killer instinct. And the Badgers had that in the previous games against Arizona, against Kentucky in the awesome game on Saturday. And it was usually Sam Decker, and he just wasn't the same guy that he was in the first 5 games of the tournament.
No, and you couldn't ask. I mean, nobody's perfect every night, and let's face it, he's a big reason they got to that point. So I'm not knocking Decker. It's just he just had an off night. And Hayes was okay, Koenig was okay, but defensively we just had no answer for their athleticism or their quickness, and those guards went right around us and hit big shots when they needed to, and uncharacteristically, we missed some free throws. And at one point we were 2 for 6, and a couple of those were bonuses, and that came back to haunt us a little bit because it's points off the board, and that hurt them down the stretch. But really, I think more than anything, it just comes down to Duke made plays, we didn't. And that's the way it goes sometimes.
I kind of talked about it today in a column. You can read it on GazetteExtra.com. I mean, back when you were in school at UW, even when I was there, it was kind of the heyday when things were starting with Bo Ryan, with Devin Harris and Alonzo Tucker and great players that we were really excited about winning Big Ten tournaments and Big Ten championships and things like that. I think even then with that excitement, I didn't ever really feel like, oh man, there's a chance that this program is going to win a national championship at some point. I mean, when you were there, did you even go to basketball games?
Well, I worked for Sports Information, so I went to all the home and away games. But Steve Yoder was a coach. Rick Olson, who was a star at Madison La Follette, played 4 years when I was there. And they were decent, but, that's back when Skiles played for Michigan State. They were very good. Illinois was good back then, and Wisconsin was maybe 500 at best, but didn't have any stud players. I think the biggest news back then was when they got Rashard Griffith from Chicago at 7'4" to come aboard and play for Stu Jackson. So, I mean,
I guess just the amount, the trajectory of this program and what the guys in this program have accomplished in those, I guess mostly in the past 20 years. 20 years, but even you could go back even another 5 or 10 beyond that, even where it all kind of got started.
I mean, we've gotten spoiled between football and basketball at Wisconsin. We've gotten spoiled, and there's nothing wrong with that. But now we've come to expect so much that something like last night, which you wouldn't have thought of 20 years ago. When it gets there, that's what makes it so disappointing, is that they didn't play their best when they had to, and that's something they've been able to do all through the tournament. And when they needed to last night, it just wasn't there. Whether the tank was empty or, they were just out of gas or whatever the case might be, I just don't think they picked a bad time to play that poorly.
But now to me, it's kind of just about how far they've come, but also, like you said, getting spoiled and kind of getting over that, because now we've seen 3 Rose Bowls and they've lost 3 in a row, and coming to the national championship game and coming up just short, it makes you want to win one or win something.
Yeah. I mean, and let's face it, now we can focus on Alabama in the season opener in football. And are we at that level? It's the first game of the year. It doesn't mean a whole lot as far as, what's going to happen by the end of the year, but certainly, we come out and could somehow steal a win, that's huge. If we come out and get blown out, then you're back to, well, Wisconsin's good, but they're not among the elite. And I think in basketball, at least in the last 5-6 years, we've proven we are among the elite. Football, we're not there yet, and hopefully Paul Chryst can get that program to that level, but it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't think it's going to be right away this year or anything like that. I mean, he's going to have to build that thing back up. I mean, it's about building it back to where we were when they were getting to 3 straight Rose Bowls, and then once getting there, winning one, or finding your way into this new playoff.
I mean, I would say we're 5, 6, 7 years from thinking about a Final Four, getting into that semifinal game at the end of the season, because you got to get recruit, and with Urban Meyer still there, with Jim Harbaugh now there, that conference is tough. I mean,
still a pretty fun time to be.
It is. It's a great time to be a Badger, and that's why just look at last night for what it was. It was a chance to really enjoy the moment, enjoy what was an incredible season, and now that it's over and they didn't win it all, don't look at it as a disappointment. Just look at it as, for that one game, the better team won.
That was kind of the culmination of what was just kind of a crappy Monday.
Oh, God, the Brewer game was terrible.
I told people yesterday we pulled into Miller Park at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we had 4 preferred passes for 3 spots, and we tried to finagle an extra spot just for tailgating space.
Yep.
We paid for the spot. We should be able to do whatever we want.
Use it, yeah.
Well, that space that was open was where Hank Aaron's last home run ever landed. And they have that plaque. They have a plaque there.
At County Stadium.
And that was I said, this has to be an omen for what's going to be an awesome day. And that was, I guess, the last good thing that actually happened.
Oh, man. And I think the one thing, and it's been the talk since the start of spring training, is how good are these starters? I mean, they're veterans and they've been there, but is Kyle Lohse, is Matt Garza, are those guys 4 or 5s on most teams? And all of a sudden we got to throw Lohse out there on day 1 as our opening day starter, and let's face it, he didn't have good stuff. I mean, they hit him hard.
I wasn't even in the stadium yet. It was 4-0.
Yeah, it was 4-0, and I'm watching it going, this isn't a good start. And then our offense against a guy that's, mediocre at best, had an ERA just under 5 last year, Kendrick.
He was supposed to be the worst opening day starter.
We had 3 hits through 6 innings or something like that. So just, it's a long season, 162 games, forget about it, but
you can't
I hope it's not a trend.
How do you show up for opening day and lose 10-0?
10-0, that's embarrassing.
It was the 3rd largest crowd at Miller Park ever. And that's what you bring to the table for the first game of the season. I mean, I think my thought all along has just been when you look around the league and around the division, most of the teams spent the offseason getting better, or at least picking up one piece where you were like, okay, that piece made them better than they were last year. The Brewers never really did that with anyone, and they just expected everyone that fell apart at the end of last year was going to come back and just have a better season, or things were going to work out better. I just don't know what they did to get better this offseason, and if you're not getting better, you're getting worse, right?
Well, and I think the one thing is you subtract Gallardo, who, let's face it, I mean, he was 1-9 against the Cardinals, but he was their ace, and he was a guy you could count on to give you innings. He had been the backbone of that pitching staff for so long. You replace him with Jimmy Nelson, who, he was great in the minor leagues, but hasn't proven much at all at the big league level, and now he's going to have to. And I think the addition of Adam Lind, I think, will help because I think he can hit, but he's another guy that can't stay off the disabled list.
Right.
Now we've gone one game. Ryan Braun's got to leave in the 5th inning with a pulled muscle or whatever it might be, and you just got to thinking, here we go again. I mean, are we back to, is Logan Schaefer now going to have to fill in right field? And he's not a major leaguer. I mean, that's the kind of thing that, when are the Brewers going to catch a break, I guess is the way I look at it. I mean, Ramirez, he's playing on his last
season probably for him.
I mean, and what's he have to play for? If they fall out of it early, what does Ramos Ramirez have to play for? And that's
pride.
Yeah, that's what bothers me
which they didn't show that much of yesterday.
No,
so.
none at all. And hopefully, again, let's forget about it. And hopefully, when this airs tomorrow, they will have gotten a win on Tuesday night. They're back to 1-1, and you forget about opening day.
Hopefully. I mean, I could see this. I don't want to be the guy that just jumps off the ship after one day.
I don't either, and I won't.
But I could see it happening.
I could too.
We get it through this first month of April,
and it's all NL Central teams. So you're
going to know where you stand pretty quick.
Very quickly.
If you're going to lose 10-0 to the Rockies, who are supposed to be one of the worst teams in the West, it's not really.
It's not good, especially against a guy Kendrick that again wouldn't even have been probably in there had they had not had 2 or 3 starters out on the DL.
And the worst thing about Monday, I missed the sausage race.
Oh boy,
would have been the one thing worth seeing. Do you know who won?
Yeah, it was. I think it was the Polish in a rallied for a late win.
Oh,
yes.
Right. I probably wouldn't have picked the Polish anyway. So
I would have gone to chorizo, but
guess it doesn't matter. No, look, we got a guy right here.
There he is. There he is.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We got to give him more than
Don't
one
give
game.
up on him yet, fans. There's a long season left.
Got to give him more than one game.
Yes.
Are you giving up on Tiger Woods?
I am. I gave up on Tiger a long time ago, but no, I mean
the Masters.
He hasn't won a major in 7 years. His game's not exactly striking fear in anyone, and I just don't think when he shows up at a tournament, everyone's afraid of him now. I think he shows up and he's just another one of those golfers, and guys like Jordan Spieth and some other Keegan Bradley, those younger guys, to them Tiger Woods is name only, but not somebody that they fear or that they, I'm sure they respect, but I don't think he's a guy that's going to, strike fear in anyone come Thursday at Augusta.
Yeah, Masters starts Thursday down in Augusta, 7:40, I guess. That's probably Eastern time when Arnie and Gary Player and Jack Nicklaus will send off their honorary tee shots.
Arnie will hit his about 35 yards.
If you're looking for Steve Stricker, you'll want to tune in at 8:57. He's with Morgan Hoffman and Matt everyday players that you certainly know
life's
a lot
good
about.
When you can open up your PGA Tour season at the Masters. That's living pretty good. I mean, I know he's coming off an injury, but I'm just going to make my first tournament at the Masters. A lot of guys would kill to even be in the tournament, and Steve gets to open his. But wish him well, and I hope he has a good year. Certainly last year, both personally and on the course, were difficult for Steve, and you hope he bounces back because, let's face it, he's one of the good guys.
I wouldn't be shocked to see him make the cut.
I wouldn't either. Not at all. Nope.
It's not like he hasn't been working on his game. People have seen him up there in Madison hitting balls.
And I wouldn't be shocked to see Tiger make the cut. I just don't think he can put it together for 4 rounds.
I listened to him Monday or Tuesday on he did their press rounds. Everybody kind of made it through. And he was really funny. He was loose. He was kind of talking about his kids a lot and just kind of had a different vibe about him. So that leads me, I wasn't thinking that he would make the cut, but now I kind of am.
Yep, and he might, and he knows that course certainly, and he's, the thing at the Masters is you better be able to putt, and certainly Steve is one of the better putters on tour, so, if it comes down to, getting down in 2 from 50 feet, I'd want Stricker to be one of the few guys I'd want to do that for me.
I was talking about Tiger in the press conference.
Tiger. Well, yeah. Tiger's Tiger. I mean, I think Tiger is to the point where he's got to remain upbeat because it seems like every time he thinks he gets it back together, something happens. Some ailment comes up, and he's got to take time off. So, how does his back hold up? How does his knee hold up? I mean, there's a lot of stress hitting a golf ball, and he's got to find a way to do it for 72 holes, and I just don't think he can.
Tiger with Jamie Donaldson and Jimmy Walker at 12:48 on Thursday.
Jimmy Walker from Good Times? Kid Dynamite?
Jimmy Walker, the guy who has just been tearing up golf.
Oh,
golf
okay, not the Jimmy Walker from Good Times.
Out of nowhere. He's in his mid-30s, never won.
Jimmy's a little older than that.
Been on the Ryder Cup. And
you remember the show Good Times?
No, I have no idea what that is.
All right, well.
And then what about Phil? He's at 9:41 with Rory and Ryan Moore, so that'll be a fun
That'll be a featured threesome, I'm sure. Yep. Rory certainly, along with Bubba, and I got to believe Jordan Spieth, the way he's playing right now, those three are probably your three favorites coming in just because, of where their games are right now.
What do you think about Phil, though? He first 2 rounds last weekend, he was in the mix. I think he was in the final group on Saturday.
I think Phil's along the lines of Tiger. I'm just not sure he can put 4 good rounds together. He always seems to have some kind of hiccup, whether it's a couple of holes or a bad stretch or whatever it might be. And you've got to be consistent and realize that you're not going to go that far under par. You 5, 6, 7 under probably going to be good enough to win it. And depending on the weather, they're calling for rain, which would soften up the greens, which would probably bring the scores down a little bit. But
poured there today, this afternoon, Tuesday.
But if that's the case, then you may see scores come down a little bit. But let's face it, Augusta is not an easy course, and especially you get into Amen's Corner in the back 9, and that's where the tournament's won and lost.
I would think if there's a place where Phil could put 4 rounds together, it's there, though. He's got 3 green jackets. He knows knows that course. He's a lefty, which has seemed to help people lately. Lefties have won like half of the tournaments over the last 12 years or something like that. I look for him to be in the mix on Sunday.
All right.
What about who you got? Jordan Spieth?
I like Jordan. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's just because he's your sister's neighbor.
He is my sister's neighbor. So shout out to my sister and he just bought a new home right next to Mark Cuban.
Wow, he's really
So he's no longer my sister's neighbor. Yeah. Let's put it that way.
He moved out of that old neighborhood.
But he moved out of his parents and moved into his own place next to Mark Cuban and the owner of PepsiCo. So Jordan's doing okay for himself. I think the price was $2.9 million for the home. So he's probably won, 3 tournaments already this year? He's probably paid for it already, so it's not a big deal. But no, I like him. He's playing really well, and it seems like he's in the hunt every weekend. And certainly Bubba, winning 2 of the last 3, you got to think about him as well. And
Ricky Fowler, I think.
Ricky Fowler's another one.
Top 10 in every major last year.
Yeah. So I would think I'm going to go Jordan, Rory, one of those 2. That's where my money's at.
All right. I'll take Ricky just for fun.
Okay.
One more note, the Janesville Jets kick off their road to the Robertson Cup Friday night down at the Janesville Ice Arena at 7 o'clock against the Michigan Warriors. 7 o'clock Friday and Saturday, start of the best-of-5 series. They put together the greatest regular season.
Best regular season record in NAHL history.
So make sure you get down there and support them, yes. At least one of those nights, maybe both.
Not much else going on. The Brewers will be out of there. They'll be out of the running for anything by then anyway, so they'll be 4 games into it. They'll be 0-4, and get on there to watch the Jets play, and it's a good time. Bring the whole family.
That's about to do it. If you like this show, we could use some support from you. You can follow us on YouTube and your favorite podcast network. We're on iTunes now.
We're on iTunes. We got a review.
Just just plug it in there. Go to iTunes. You got to search for Extra Points.
Extra Points.
You'll find us, and then you can leave us. Yeah, you can leave us.
We're right next to the Beatles.
Probably different page.
Okay,
or something,
all right.
As long as you search,
should be next to the Beatles, not the Beatles, at least Elvis.
You can leave us a review there.
Elvis, Extra Points, and Elvis. We're probably right after Elvis on iTunes.
Should be pretty close. You can tell Bear how much better you like him when he's not wearing Kentucky gear.
Yes.
And then you can let us know things like our friend Sean Sensiba did here when he said, "Though I have to note I work with these men. This is a podcast that would still be fair to say it's worthy of your 20 minutes of weekly exploration of sports topics and interest in southern Wisconsin, and particularly worth your time if you're interested in the prep coverage," which is completely true except for this week because we're gearing up for spring and we're really...
And Sean, the check's in the mail, by the way, so thank you for that.
Follow us on Twitter and Gazette Extra, and we'll see you back here next week after Tiger Woods wins the Masters.
Take care, everybody. Go Brew Crew.